Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Second Wind. Marty and JM8 here for a cheeky little launch day stream for World of Warcraft: The War Within,
Oh my
the
god.
latest expansion in the long-running series. And we don't do a lot of MMO coverage here, but when we do, Jay, you're at the forefront of it
Oh
because
yes.
you've been a card-carrying WoW member for. Did you say one of these characters is over 16 years old?
Yeah, I've got many characters that are even older than that, but I'm not sure. I did some calculations last night. I'm not sure it's 16. I think it's slightly below, but this character I have called Lochi, I have had since the launch of Mist of Pandaria and have played them consistently as my main ever since. So
My God.
yes. So this is a game that I've been playing for a very long time, consistently, along with many other MMOs. Like previously, The Escapist, we did our Guild Wars 2 stream where I kind of showed you what that was about. But
Yeah,
WoW is very, very, very special to me for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, people, some folks in the chat seem surprised that this game still exists and is going strong, considering a lot of them were like, oh, I had characters in middle school and high school and like, you know, in the mid-aughts. What do you think is, what is it about Blizzard and about WoW that this game has managed to kind of withstand the test of time despite how many people have come for the throne?
So that's a good question. I think there's lots of reasons why it's done really well. But one of them is, well, they kind of fucked up recently with some of the just gone expansions, but the innovation they've done, they've kept it familiar, but also they've always tried to push the game in different directions and upgrade it, and like it's using an incredibly old engine, but they're trying to keep it up to date. They're doing world overhauls and stuff, and it's just trying to keep people interested in the world and just its mechanics. And I think you become invested, right? Like, I want to play Lochi repeatedly, and every time an expansion comes out, because you can call it sunken cost fallacy if you want.
Yeah.
But you know, it's been a long time. I'm gonna log in and get in. But these are a bunch of my characters. Yeah.
You have so many. I thought it was just your characters hanging around this fire.
No,
and then
I have.
You went to the side and started
lot.
scrolling down, and I was like, you have so many.
Yeah, I usually. So we were talking about it on Windbreaker. Like, there are roles there's like a healer, a tank, and DPS roles to play. Because I mainly play tank, I always like to have all of the tanks at cap and ready to be played at any one time. So it's a lot of work. But hey, it's all good fun. So yeah, let's get in on Lochi, who's my main, who's done quite a lot of stuff. I have done a lot of this expansion. I've done all the story. So if you guys are watching and you don't want to get spoiled for the story because this game's just come out, I'm not going to be talking about or covering any of that. There will just be some mild area and dungeon spoilers for any of you that are watching.
And so this went out to the public. This went live last night, I believe, or like 12 hours ago or so, 15 hours ago. But then there was like an early access period for like the super members or whatever, which is every game has now, right? Where I guess you could have started playing it a few days ago. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I started playing Star Wars Outlaws this morning because if you bought the special edition, you could jump into it. So thanks for taking $110
we had early access to that for paying money. I'm a bit of a WoW nerd in the sense of, like, whenever a new expansion comes out, I'm like, I'm gonna play it, so I just buy it. And the version
real
I
quick,
bought,
this bear jumped in the air and then
so I'm gonna try. I wanted to get out of the main city because it gets really busy, and I will talk you through the basics of the game.
What's happening? Are you
let's
just
do it. Let's do it on this rock.
Cheating?
No. Okay, so this is my character. This is Lochi. Lochi is a monk. I guess to begin with, it's going to take 20 seconds, but I'm going to log out because I need to talk about the basic premise of the game, and to do that, starting a new character is the best way of doing that. We won't play them, but I will go through the motions of making one.
Perfect.
So yeah, my main character is a monk, and that allows him to do lots of different things. There are different classes in the game, so we'll go through those now. So I am going to make a new character. Oh, there we go, create a character. I don't make them very often. So in the game, there are two factions, which are the Alliance and the Horde. For anyone who plays WoW, this is going to be very basic information to you, but I'm going to get through it quickly for all the people who are new. you could kind of boil down the Alliance to being the good guys in a way. So the races are, humans, dwarves, night elves, gnomes, the Draenei, which are like space octopus people.
All right, we love a space octopus here.
Worgans, which are like werewolf people. Pandarans, which they're a whole thing.
Yep.
And then a bunch of like other races, and then the Horde, you could probably consider them like in its most basic terms, the anti-hero kind of races. So like orcs, undead, Tauren, which are big cow people, trolls, blood elves, goblins, stuff like that. And so, you get to pick what faction you're in, and then within that, you get to pick what class you are going to be. And we have quite a few. Only certain races can be certain classes for all lore reasons. So you can see that goblins cannot be any of these classes, like paladins, druids, demon hunters, or evokers. But anyway, there's warriors, hunters, mages, rogues, priests, warlocks, paladins. So click there, paladins, druids, shaman, monk, demon hunter, which is like a lore thing.
Yeah.
And Death Knights, which I guess you could consider them an anti-paladin, like a death paladin. And then Evoker, which is the last expansion's class that they brought out, which is like a dragon mage that channels dragon magic. So there's lots of choice, and my character is and always has been a monk, which is they're centered around martial arts and generic kind of monkey kind of gameplay. So and within those, which I will show in game now that you know what my character is, he's a blood elf, so he's on the Horde side and he's a monk. That allows my character to do and be a lot of different things. So one of them is within each class there are subclasses, right? So you play a monk, and that allows you to have a bunch of abilities, but within that you get different specializations. So for certain classes, some classes will only have, so like mage, for example, they do not have a healer
like the
spec.
Stream might have dropped.
The stream dropped.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. Are we okay? We look okay on my end.
Stream does not. It dropped for a second. Chad, are we back?
Are we back?
It seemed like it might be it might be the 4K thing. We might have to.
Yeah, no, we can bump it down. That's easy.
This says we could hear, but we cannot see. Apologies, Chad, if you could hear us. We got to fiddle a little bit with the resolution. We wanted to show it as nice and pristine as possible, but the internet can be a bit of a goober. So.
Oh yes. So I'm just changing it. Gonna just make sure that we can get the gameplay back up for you guys. It should be running relatively smoothly now. It's just going to be in a bit more of a Garbo quality, which is a shame.
You know what, chat? Just close your eyes and pretend what you're looking at is not Garbo.
Yeah.
Think about that.
We'll take it like that. So let us know, chat. See if that's a little bit better. Definitely better. Okay, so
there you go.
Yes, so hopefully people can see. Just let us know. So my monk. I was talking about the monk can be a tank, a healer, or a damage dealer. So at the moment I'm a tank. I'm in the tank spec, but at any point I can just activate the damage one. It will slowly change all of my talents and everything to what I prefer. And now I'm playing as a damage dealer, so they're called Windwalker in for the monk. But certain classes, like mage, for example, cannot play as a tank or a healer. They have instead of having all three, they have 3 damage specs. So for mage, they have frost, arcane, and fire, and they get to pick a specialization and specialize in those specific types of magic. But why I like monk is because their kit allows them to play any role and fill any role.
So yeah, like a lot more malleable for those situations where you
I
need
prefer
something.
that to be able to do any type of content with my friends and be that person that will fill that role. And it's allowed me to, over the years, specialize in Monk to the degree where I can just specialize as any one of these roles at any point, depending on what people come on. Because I have some friends who love
as opposed to
tech.
having 3 separate characters that fill each of these roles. You can
I can just have one.
does all of them.
Yeah. So yeah, I love healing. Healing is my favorite thing, but it's very popular. And a lot of my friends who I play with also love healing and won't play unless they get to heal. So my second favorite is damage. I love doing Windwalker damage. It's really, really fun. But you can only have 3 of them. And Brewmaster is the tank. And the tank is kind of a less popular role because they are ostensibly in charge of where the party goes and the pace of the dungeon. So a lot of people don't like playing it. So I usually end up doing that. So I'm going to stay on my damage spec for a minute. We're in the new area of the expansion. This is the first area, and there are more down here, which we will go through and look at as I basically bring you in on the basics of the game and answer any questions. But
World Tour.
This map has been being expanded since, 2004, 2003? So
yeah, it's like every expansion adds a little bit to it.
Yeah, the beginning of the game started with Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms, these two areas, and within these maps are humongous. So each one of these areas I'm showing is its own dedicated area with its own quest lines and mobs and rare mobs and bosses. And as you can see, there are lots of them just in one of the 2 areas that the game started with.
Yeah,
and each expansion has added new areas. So areas like Northrend with all of these areas and raids, the Broken Isles, Kulturas, and the Dragon Isles and stuff like that. And it gets more intense because we can go to different planets. Like
sure,
Draenor.
As one does in Warcraft.
Yes.
Goes to different planets.
Draenor and also Outland, which are technically the same place but split across different time zones, and also the Shadowlands, which is ostensibly the afterlife.
It's funny because this is the most I ever played an MMO was this, but like almost 20 years ago, probably in 2005. I put probably close to like 100 hours into it, but it's just insane looking at this, and I'm like, this is not the same thing I played.
No, it has evolved, and in a way it is. It is the same thing because you could go to these areas and I could, fly over and teleport over and show you places that you will recognize.
That would be completely familiar, yeah.
But they've just added more
So
and more
much.
and more and more and more.
Yeah.
And the latest one is Khazalgar, which is these 4 zones that they've added, and specifically Hallowfell is probably the prettiest area I've ever seen them make. But before we go on our little tour, to give viewers a little rundown of like what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go get into some combat, talk about how the basic the function of the game functions, and then we're gonna move into going around different areas, showing some areas off, and then into some dungeons, which is what I really love. So at the moment we're on a big fuck off rock, and as you saw, I was on a weird bear to get up here. So there are flying mounts. You probably experienced it when you were playing in vanilla 20 years ago.
I don't remember that bear that just rocketed across the sky.
Yeah, so there were ground mounts. So let me try and... So at the moment I'm on a fuck off peacock and Skriaunk, and the ground mounts are basically, we can just move quicker on the ground. But as the game progressed, and they introduced it in Burning Crusade, which was the first expansion, they added flying mounts, and they used to be that you kind of pointed your camera in a certain direction and you would move in that direction. Flight was very basic. Bear in mind, this was 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
In the last expansion, they introduced a system called dragon riding, which they basically copied verbatim from Guild Wars 2 with their Skyscale mounts, where flying is more dynamic. It uses charges. You can see them here, these vigor charges. They're like stamina.
Gotcha.
And you can use them to effectively flap your wings and move quicker, or dive bomb, or stop on a dime.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of what you were doing with the bear when the bear did the
so
rocket
what you
jump.
saw me do was because I'm a monk, I have So if I go to my mounts tab, I have 262 mounts. I have a lot that I've collected over the 20 odd years that I've been playing this game. Not as many as some other people. It's not an obsession of mine. But because I'm a monk, I love mounts that are kind of themed around the monk aesthetic. So in the expansion where they introduced monks, they introduced Pandaria, which is where that expansion takes place. So I have a lot of mounts from that kind of era, like this golden cloud serpent. And I've set a lot of these monk-esque mounts as my favorites, so I can effectively just press this button down here, which is summon random favorite mount, and it will go through all of these. So like my serpent, Emperor's Serpent, Banlu, the Grandmaster's Companion,
hell yeah, and
the one you saw, which you called the bear, was this one, which is like a dog, like a divine sentinel dog, but does look like a little bear. So I can press this and it will summon a random mount. This is my favorite mount ever in the game. It's one of those cloud serpents, but it's like made of constellations and stars.
That is fucking cool looking.
And I love it. So yeah, I'll fly around for a bit and show you what this looks like. So,
oh yeah, I'll go over some couple super chats.
Yeah, go for it.
In the first couple minutes. Alkeems, thank you so much for the Prime sub over in Twitch. Appreciate you. 2 whole months.
Woo!
Thank you so much, Alkeems, for using your monthly Prime sub over here. We appreciate you. And then over on YouTube, we had a couple comments. Quintuple A with a $2 dono says, Mr. Mate, how do you play WoW and Guild Wars 2 at the same time? That is a really good question. I have a lot of trouble playing 2 similar games at the same time.
I play,
let alone 2 fucking giant, never-ending MMOs.
Oh, I'm a huge MMO guy. I play Guild Wars 2. I play this. I play FF14. I guess I've played them for so long that I've found my kind of pace that I like to go at. I can never really dedicate to the hardcore like endgame scene in more than one. Luckily, Guild Wars 2 barely has an endgame. I was speaking in chat with Indie Mouse about this. FF14 arguably does have a better endgame than WoW. It's just a little bit trickier to get into, and I don't have a lot of friends who are at that level to play with. So, but in WoW I do. It's a lot easier to get into. So, yeah, I just try and balance it all. It's difficult, but I try my best.
I guess it helps too that I assume their like new content and expansions are kind of staggered a little bit. So like, this is the hot new thing at the moment, and I assume there's no giant new Guild Wars thing this season.
Yeah, they're introducing small expansions. Yeah, they tend to like respect each other. And
yeah, I'm sure they realize they probably have a lot of overlap with their fan base.
Yeah, and they kind of give space. As we saw with the expansion coming out with FF14, they were like, we're going to delay the release so you guys can play
from Elden Ring, from Shadow of the Erdtree. Yeah, like, that was smart.
MMO devs are usually super chill. So
pretty
yeah,
cognizant of that. Yeah. Beast March with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Beast March. I played WoW religiously since vanilla, but just couldn't put myself through the grind anymore during Shadowlands. Still, this expansion has me intrigued.
I'll speak to Shadowlands slightly. So Shadowlands was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people, including a lot of content creators, and it was for me as well. That expansion was horrific, and the devs knew it, and they've been trying to build that goodwill back up for years.
Sure.
Their previous expansion, Dragonflight, which was when they introduced this new mount changes, and they revamped a lot of how the endgame and gear was done, really brought me back and showed me that they cared about the player experience. And this expansion has done that again. They've really put an emphasis on trying to stop the grind and allowing you to have more than one character and like want to do that. So yeah, see, Indie Mouse is like, last expansion with Shadowlands. Yeah, I completely get it. Like, Shadowlands was absolutely garbage. But like, for instance, when you make a character, so like Lo Chi here, he so I'm just gonna do some. We'll talk about combat in a second. I'll just finish what I'm talking about.
Sorry, the number thing is so funny because we were just talking yesterday about how Paper Mario has like your attacks do like 5 damage, and that feels like a lot, and then every one of these kicks is doing like
83,000. Yeah,
15,000.
Yeah, numbers, right? So before, if you made a character in a previous expansion, you get reputation for like all of the different factions and stuff. And they are character based, so your character will have reputation with them. So if you make another character, you're gonna have to grind all that reputation back up, and it really disincentivizes you to experiment and try different classes because why would I want to grind all that rep again or like build up this when I've already done it on one character? And it means you kind of dedicate yourself to one character, but it also means that you don't want to make another one. And I think it's a dumb decision, and I've hated it for years. But in this expansion, what they've done is they've made reputation gains account wide. So if you do it on one character, all of your characters have it, which is something that Guild Wars 2 did.
Yeah, and isn't Final Fantasy 14 you just you swap classes, right? So you
have one character and you switch between jobs.
Swap jobs or whatever. Yeah.
And I think WoW are, instead of digging their heels in, they're trying to take notes from what other MMOs are doing.
Kind of find their version of that.
Yeah,
without completely
and
throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
One of the things is if you get a character to cap, so if you reach the level cap in this expansion, it will give all of your other characters a plus 5% XP bonus. So you can level your next character faster, and then if you've leveled 2, it gets faster and faster and faster. And it's already incredibly quick. So they're doing a lot to try and make it less grindy. The endgame content, it's a lot easier to get gear and get relevant gear without dedicating days and days and days of your week to it. I think they've realized that they don't need to do that. People do want to play. You just have to give them steady streams of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Sneak in the Garden with a €2 dono. Thank you so much. Love the two nerds who crushed Battle Masters. Thank you so much, Snake.
Thanks.
Jess is here in spirit as she's waiting for her internet to get installed. But yeah, everyone, if you didn't check out the first episode of Battle Masters, check it out. Great video where a bunch of us here from the team went to see who could ring a bell in Dark Souls 1 fastest. And nonsense ensued, and Justy Schwab absolutely crushed the edit. So.
Yes, and wait till you guys see episode 2, which we have seen. We did our watch party.
It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it's some of the best stuff I think we've done. And it's really, really good. So before we talk about combat, I'm gonna basically go to the next area. This expansion is very based on the underground and the heart of Azeroth, which is the planet that we are on. It has been speaking and crying out to the heroes of Azeroth to come and effectively save it from something. So the first area of this expansion is all above ground. It's very dwarf heavy, with the earthen, which are like stone dwarf people. She had some sunny shades on as well. That's baller. But after you've done this area, you kind of progress down into the depths of the planet. So I'm gonna fly down for a second, and then we'll go find some stuff to kill.
Oh my god, you're going so deep.
It gets even deeper. That's what they said.
Fearless resubbed on Fearless resubbed on Prime. Thank you so much, Fearless. Jermaine, I'm curious why you love WoW. Being a lover of mechanics, I feel like MMOs are just about button pushing. No shade, just curious.
All games are about button pressing. Think about it.
That is true. Think about it. You guys aren't thinking about it. Now you're thinking about it.
So, yes, we're underground now. I'll answer this question before we go off and do some combat. But yeah, it is about button pressing, but there's a lot of nuance to how you press those buttons. So, as you can see in the bottom middle of my screen, you can see I have a lot of buttons. And we will go into not all of them, but a lot of their uses when we get into dungeons, when we have to use them. Not only do you have your main rotation of your damaging abilities, which we will go over when I go and attack something, but you have your major cooldowns, you have interrupts, you have stuns, that these things need to be used in coordination with the rest of your team to successfully do endgame content. My favorite thing about this game is dungeons and doing them with my friends. I will show you later, they infinitely scale, so the challenge just gets harder and harder and harder, where the usage of your abilities needs to get tighter and tighter, otherwise your team just dies. So this is the type of gameplay that I'm really addicted to, and Final Fantasy XIV is the exact same in its endgame. It's just really hard to get to that in FF14, but I will make a video on that, don't you worry.
It almost seems like it's so much of the strategy almost comes up in like the prep work for the thing is like knowing what you can do and how you can do it and when you can do it.
Yeah, understanding mechanics and
yeah.
Getting that mastery and like going in with 4 of your friends, there being 5 of you, and absolutely dominating a dungeon because you just know it so well and you're all executing its mechanics perfectly.
You all know your roles, you're all on the same page, you're all supporting each other.
Yeah. So, combat. I'm playing Monk. I'm going to change my outfit. A huge thing of WoW or any MMO, I think, is like fashion souls or like doing your transmogs. I kind of have this one at the moment, which is my Flame Brew character.
Oh, that's cool again.
He's pretty cool. He's got his wide brim hat and his like orbs on his shoulders and his tattoos on his chest. Fucking baller. But I have a whole host of transmogs that I do, so I'm going to get on this mount, which has a little dude in it who allows me to transmog.
That looks like the little flying thing from Avatar.
It's a yak. It's a Grand Expedition yak. So this window is just ways for me to transmog my character. You can literally, from all of the items you've collected from all of your years of World of Warcraft, you can go through and select them. You can make, different transmogs if you wanted. So I can pick those shoulders and that chest piece if I wanted, and blah 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 blah. And you can customize how your character looks as long as you have a little bit of gold, which is very easy to come by. You can make your character look however you want. So one of my favorites is my Zuen set. The weapon's not correct, but I will change that. And this is how particular I am. I'm hyper obsessed with how my character looks and it being right. So because this one's blue, I like to have these. So what I'm going to do is save that, apply it, and now if we look at my character, my entire set has changed to this kind of blue warrior monk kind of set that I've put together, and this kind of blue staff that I have.
That is sick looking.
And some people play this game and only do transmog. They just go to old raids and old dungeons, and because they're old, you can just one-shot everything, and they're just trying to collect their favorite looking armor pieces.
Trying to look cool.
Yeah, like you want to look good, right? And then in combination with, like I've got my set, and then I have mounts that kind of go with that set and stuff like that. So this peacock goes really well with this blue set. So yeah, it's all about looking good. So I've just changed my set just because I wanted to. But now we're going to talk about Monk and how this works. And just bear in mind, guys, that every class in this game and every specialization within that class plays differently. They share themes, but all classes play different. So Monk is about martial arts. So I'm playing the damage role right now called Windwalker, and they're all about speed, maneuverability, and getting in quick jabs, stuff like that. So I have a lot of movement abilities. So this guy over here, I'm going to use this ability down here called Flying Serpent Kick. If you ever want to, I'm not sure if you can see it on the stream, but whenever I hover over something, you can kind of see in this general area that you'll see the description.
The words are so small.
Yeah, I'll read them.
I would be doing so much squinting at this game.
Right. And that's part of the reason is why I wanted to play in 4K, is because I'm playing on a 4K monitor, so when it's blown up to 1080p is blown up on it, it gets a bit fuzzy. But I'm going to use this ability. It's called Flying Serpent Kick, which will propel me over to that malfunctioning railbot over there. So this movement ability allows me to fly over. So now I'm in combat. While he's fighting me, I can use another ability called Roll, which kind of rolls me around the arena so I can dodge specific abilities that are coming in or get in quicker. Then the other abilities, I won't go through all of them, but I have loads of different abilities that I combo together, like Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Rising Sun Kick, Fists of Fury. So I use energy. This bar in the middle you can see is my health and my energy.
Yeah.
And these things below are chi. So I can spend energy to generate chi. Ignore that tiger that just spawned. That's a whole thing.
Hard thing to ignore. Very hard thing to ignore.
Yeah, and so I generate chi, and then I spend those on certain abilities. So like Rising Sun Kick and Fist of Fury. So Fist of Fury is my punching kind of combo. So it does a lot of damage, and you see I've used free chi to do so. I can use Tiger Palm to generate more chi, and then use Rising Sun Kick. And you just basically, these then go on cooldown. You can kind of see that down there. And you basically just combo between these abilities and use the most efficient ones first. But the unique thing about Monk, specifically its damaging spec, is that its unique mechanic is that you get a damage bonus if the next ability you cast is not a repeat of the last one. So
okay, so it's encouraging you to sort of experiment and use everything.
Yeah, and dance between your abilities and not just spam the same one.
Yeah, I like that.
And if you get good at this, you can get a really high damage bonus, and then it becomes this kind of dance. So I'll go in and kill these guys over here. I'm gonna get a few of these. Fist of Fury is an AoE ability, so I'm gonna get these down.
Grumpy Wolfie, thank you so much for giving us up to Dylan. And what's up? Thank you so much for the Prime sub as well. And then Quintuple with the $2 dono said, were player houses a thing in WoW?
Yes,
like,
but we don't talk about those because they came out in Warlords of Draenor, and people hated them because they made them so useful that people never left their houses.
Oh, funny.
So it made the world feel barren. So this guy here, I won't use the ability yet. I'll wait. I'll help this guy. He's also a monk. I can tell with the spinning crane kick he was using, that spin. You have different abilities that you can use, like spinning crane kick or Fist of Fury, that do better in an AoE situation. So area of effect. For anyone who doesn't know, so if there's multiple enemies, usually more than 3 or 4, you usually switch to doing your AoE rotation, your rotation being the abilities you cycle through. So you usually have one that's good for single target and another one that's good for AoE, and you'll have to dynamically switch between them based on what's happening. So it's a lot of thinking that's going on. But yeah, fuck player housing. It's done well in a lot of other games, but WoW has not done it well yet. There's one ability that Monk have, which is I hate, and luckily they've nerfed it recently. They've made it a lot worse. So let me go find an enemy. I have an ability called Touch of Death. What do you think Touch of Death does, Marty?
Is it like the thing from Kill Bill where it's like the 5-finger
palm
exploding
that's
heart
exactly
technique?
what it is. So I'll read it. You guys won't be able to read it because I need to find an enemy. I think there's some down there.
Also, it literally looks like your dog is just, you're clipping through the world. You're just like going into debug mode and being like, all right, I'm gonna
so it's hard to like feel it because you can't see me. Like, so when I do that, I'm double tapping space to leap into the air, and then I'm gonna press Q to like leap forward. And then I can press R to like dash forward and get to max speed. And get high, so you can basically... Oh, there's a collectible up there that I haven't got, so I'm gonna go grab that.
Look at that, a shiny.
There we go. Oh, beautiful. So I just completed an achievement for doing that. So
look at that.
So yeah, it kind of is like flying used to be a thing that you couldn't get early on. You had to basically complete an expansion to be able to unlock flying in that expansion. There was like a Pathfinder achievement that you had to do, which is very tedious and very boring. Because flying basically broke the game. You could fly over mountains and just go anywhere, right? So they would restrict you, but they realized that wasn't fun. So what they've done is they've made flying more... oh, by the way, this is my water elemental bunny.
That's a very cool rabbit. I like it.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. They've made flying more fun, made it more dynamic with this vigor system. And then because of that, they've then designed the maps with that in mind. So
instead of it feeling like it's kind of breaking the geography, it's like in conversation with the geography.
It's like in conversation. It's needed to explore. They know you're going to have it. They've given it to everyone. So it's really, really nice. But yeah, Touch of Death. Let me go find an enemy.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one. Let me kill these guys first because they're going to harsh my mellow.
Those weenies. Coffee Koala with a 10-pound dono. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Coffee Koala, loving the stream while I quest and war within myself. Picturing my wife on joining me. JM8, what do you think is the most beginner-friendly class for her? I hear rat pellies hit 3 buttons and go brr.
Rat pallies. Me and my friends have a joke that rat pallies are stupidly easy. If a rat pally is ever beating you in damage in a dungeon, ignore it because they're not on easy mode.
What is a rat pally?
Hunter is always the go-to for early game for people getting into the game. It's really cool. You have pets. They can help you in combat because they can tank stuff. And the same for their rotation. Their actual abilities are very, very low in terms of mental. You don't really have to think as much as something like say, rogue or monk or mage, like a fire mage, there's a lot of thinking that needs to be done to play optimally.
Gotcha.
But hunter and ret pally and stuff like that, it is kind of like smash your face on the keyboard and be top of the DPS. So
yeah,
you know,
there you go. That makes you feel good if you just started the game.
Yeah. So already, you can see there's buttons glowing on my screen. This is the touch of death button. It says you exploit the enemy's target weakness point, instantly killing creatures if they have less health than you. Dealing damage equal to 35% of your maximum health. So this is the Kill Bill ability. That it's on a 1.5 minute cooldown, but it's based on your health. So okay, well this guy's gonna get it now. So he's come over to me. I'm gonna touch a death him. He's dead. I did 4.3 million damage to him. He doesn't exist anymore. But when I said it's based on your health, there are different specializations, and Brewmaster the tank has like quadruple the health of the healer and tank specs because they need to. So Touch of Death becomes extremely powerful.
If you use it as a Brewmaster as opposed to a Mistweaver Windwalker?
Yeah, if you're a Brewmaster, you have so much more health, so then Touch of Death becomes so much more powerful because it's based on how much health you have. So, and there used to be a thing last expansion where they made it, so in each specialization you pick, this is going to look really intimidating, don't worry. In each specialization you pick, you have all of these choice nodes that you can pick to customize your character however you want. And multiple of them were like augment Touch of Death. And not only would it kill, if you pick the right talents, last expansion, not only would Touch of Death kill the thing you were doing it on, it would also hit everyone around it in an AoE.
God.
And it reduced its cooldown by like a minute. And if you used it again within 5 seconds of it being used, it could happen twice.
So it just completely broke that move and like
it broke build? Monk. So every other ability Monk had to be shit because Touch of Death was so powerful. And you were just a god every minute and a half, but like in between that you just felt super weak. I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst designed things I've ever experienced.
I feel like that's playing Jigglypuff in Smash, where it's like I got that one move where I could go to sleep and then shoot someone off the board and everything else. It just
feels bad. And then no one would take the damage you were doing seriously in the dungeon because they just like, oh, he just uses Touch of Death. So it's off cooldown again, so this guy's dead.
Rip. Sorry, my sweet robot friend.
But yeah, there's lots of basic abilities. There's AoE stuff, there's normal single target stuff, and then there's big cooldowns. So my big cooldowns here, you'll see on this pack over here, what I'm going to do is summon 2 versions of myself that are behind there, and now they will jump in and basically copy the moves I'm doing. So there's 3 of them.
Oh, that's great.
So they all spinning crane kick there to do more AoE damage.
I was about to say, especially those AoE attacks with 3 of you doing them.
Exactly. You really like knowing the correct space to be using these abilities is really, really powerful. And then I have another one.
Dead Cat asked if Touch of Death worked on elites. I'm assuming
yes, it does, and it also worked on bosses. In Mr. Pandaria, when it first came out and it was badly balanced, monks were walking in and one-shotting bosses and then walking out.
Jesus.
It was broken. Other cooldowns I have. So I'm gonna summon 2 of myself here, and then I'm also gonna summon Zuen, which is you'll see he's up on the thing now. That kind of tiger. There's 2 of him now.
That was the man you told us to ignore earlier.
Ignore the tiger. He's Zuen. So monks channel the kind of magic of these celestials. There's a tiger, an ox, a crane, and a dragon. And Zuen is one of them, and you can summon him every couple minutes, and he just goes absolutely apeshit and just kills everything.
What's this little poo mark to the left of your character you get every once in a while?
That means that one of my abilities has popped off. It's basically a visual signifier that one of my abilities is usable in a different case. There's also, but
why does it look like a little? It looks like a little poo mark.
It did look like a poo mark, but if in higher resolutions, it looks like beer with bubbles in it. But I guess it does look like a shit smear. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just making sure there wasn't a poo mark.
Yeah, so having your cooldowns, they're on quite high cooldowns, and you just need to know the correct opportunities to use them. So if you find a boss or you encounter a lot of enemies, what you can do is pop all your cooldowns and just go absolutely apeshit and wreck everything, right? So
hell yeah.
You just need to know when to do that. I would go into the new feature they've added in this expansion, which is like these talents that they've added to specialize in specific things. but it gets complex, and I'm not sure I want to overload everyone. Just know that I'm playing currently Conduit of the Celestials. So if you see that tiger spawn, do you know I said ignore him?
Sure.
I'm playing a kind of sub-spec, a specialization within a specialization that is further specializing in the Celestials. So you'll see the tiger spawn, the dragon, the ox, the crane, and they'll be assisting me. I could go into why and how those things happen, but it just gets a bit complex, so I won't go into too much of that.
So I'm just going to ignore the tigers. Evil Overlord with a €5 dono. Thank you so much, Overlord. Don't forget to use your special ability if you run out of vigor while flying. I forget what it's called. Also, greetings from Evil Overlord Silvermoon. Apparently that's the name of the game.
There you go. Yeah, the vigor ability, if I mount up, is called... it's this one, Second Wind. It's called Second Wind. Legendary. So yes, so the combat is quite complex. But I think what we do, unless you have any questions of how things are working, I think I get a couple of my friends in, and we start doing some dungeons, some basic dungeons. And what I'll do is tank. So I can talk about how tanking works. So I'm going to go to my specializations, switch over to Brewmaster, which will take a second. Brewmaster. So you'll see, you won't really see much, but all of my abilities have changed. So now you also see my outfit has changed. So based on what specialization I am, it changes my outfit.
Sick as hell.
So I'm going to go find an enemy and just use some of my abilities so you guys can get an idea for what Brewmaster does, which is they throw kegs. So I'm going to throw a big keg of beer at this dude. He can throw another keg and set him on fire with my fire breath. And then get a few of the other abilities that the other class has. But tanking is all about holding aggro. So you see that these guys are red, but when they look at me, they go blue. That means I have aggro on these guys. I have their aggression. It's on me. So they're going to attack me. Yeah, and their focus is on me. So this guy over here, who's just some random player, is not going to get attacked because I am a tank and the enemies are interested in me. So I'm keeping them safe. And my entire kit, like all of the abilities I have, are all about either generating aggro or mitigating damage. So I can swig certain brews and beers to effectively mitigate all the damage I'm taking. The special thing that Brewmaster has is they stagger. So imagine if you're so drunk that you can't feel pain. What it means, so like other tanks, what they'll do is say there's 500,000 damage. Other tanks will need to press a button which will reduce the amount of damage they take before it happens, or heal themselves back up after it happens, right? But with Brewmaster, their special mechanic is they will get hit by that 500k, but only a small percentage of it. I think it's let me check. Show passives. So I'm just going to look at my passives and just check which one it is for a second. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, it's down here somewhere. There's just too much shit. I can't be bothered. Basically, what it is when you take that big chunk of damage, you take a small portion of it up front, and the rest of it is applied to you as a damage over time effect. So, which you can then cleanse off of yourself by drinking. So they're really squishy. They're like the squishiest, lowest health tanks in the game. But they have this really interesting mechanic where they don't take damage up front. They take it over a large period of time, and you have to manage. So that gives
you time to figure out how you want it. Like, do you want to heal your way through that? Do you want to cleanse the?
Yeah, do I cleanse it, or do I allow my healer to take care of it, depending on what they've done, and stuff like that. So, do I have a Slack message? I just want to check that. I didn't need to do anything on Slack. I'm all good. So yeah, I'm gonna go into a dungeon. I'm gonna invite some of my friends who are online. And I'll just see if they want to play.
Perfect. Coffee Koala with another £2 dono. Thank you so much. P.S. The music is so good in The War Within.
Yes, the music's always fantastic. World of Warcraft music's really, really, really good. Before we go into this dungeon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly us to Hallowfell, because it is the prettiest area I think I've ever seen. So I'm going to make my way over there. Just to show you guys, this area in 4K And when we get here, just remember that I spoke about how they've redesigned the world to be more dynamic flying accessible and like bake that into the world. Sure. So considering we are underground, this is Hallowfell, which is where a giant crystal has summoned an army of half-elves to protect this crystal. Looking. And this crystal is effectively the sun, so at night it becomes corrupted and the entire world becomes different and dynamically changes.
I love that.
But this area is so massive and kind of requires you to use your mount efficiently.
You couldn't do all this obviously on foot. You
could, yes, but it takes a long time. You
Yeah.
can see there's pathways and stuff like that. And a civilization of half-elves have made their home here because they can't leave because they were summoned here by the crystal and we don't know why. And that's the story we're currently trying to figure out. And also the same thing, these aren't major spoilers for the story, a lot of people have known these, but these half-elves have been in a kind of an extremely long battle, I think it's for years and years and years and years, with a race of creatures called the Nerubians, which are, I'm going to go find them for you, which are a race of spider beetle people. And they are deeper underground, and they've been constantly trying to climb up and take over this part of the world. And they have built these battlements you see here that produce light. This entire area is about producing light and fighting off the darkness, because if we go deeper down...
you get into that real darkness?
We get into where the Nerubians live, which is a kind of realm called Azkahet. They have beautiful names, and we can use these slipstreams to basically climb up and down quickly around these areas.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So we're going to move down here, and I'm just going to show you guys Azkahet and their architecture. But a lot of these environments feel so beautifully baked in within one another, and you can dynamically switch between them. And this is those spider people, beetle peeps. This is all of their architecture, and we're going to be moving in. I'm just going to fly through this middle section.
So are these like the spider beetle people, just like, are they capital B bad guys, or like...
No, so this is a main city.
Does that
here.
really kind of not exist in the game?
It does, but I was speaking to someone about this the other day, about how World of Warcraft is all about committing war crimes on both sides. Like, they're both horrific, and yes, the Nerubians, a lot of them are evil and want to take over the world and stuff like that, but a lot of them are fighting against them internally to rebel against them, because they don't, their leaders are being corrupted by an evil power and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So like this one, this is one of the hubs, the cities where we work with the Nerubians
get quests and all that.
to do quests and stuff. But their main city is here, the city of Azkahet, and this is where their dungeons and raids are based. So
the Twitching Gorge.
Yes, and we'll be going here in some of our dungeons to kind of quest in them and do our thing. But
cool. Fungus Finder says they remember the Nerubians from Warcraft 3.
Yes, and the Nerubians are a huge thing in like Frozen Throne and stuff like that. They're a race that Arthas Menethil, the Lich King, allied with, because their goals kind of lined up. So I'm gonna go find a place to sit down, and then we'll sign up for some dungeons and show you guys some of this.
Heck yeah. Sovereign with a €5 dono, thank you so much. Just for old time's sake, clears throat. Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then Coffee Koala with a £5 dono, thank you so much. Bonus chat for JM8's awesome Transmog.
Hell yeah.
Can one of you give us your best Scottish accent and say "Champion Azeroth needs ye"?
I know who they're talking about. Wait, let me get Susan out. All right, I've got her. Champion Azeroth needs you. He's a dude made of diamond. It's a whole thing.
It's a thing.
It's a whole thing. But yeah, so what we're going to do is I've got 3 of my friends with me. You can see this bar here. This is their health bars. So you can see my friend Mitsun, who is a close friend of mine. He's actually a game designer for Sea of Thieves. Very close friend of mine. He's playing Paladin because he's got great taste and likes pressing one button. he's currently dying, so you can see his health bar going down. We then have my friend Matt and my friend Reese, Reese is also a fellow game dev and close friend of mine. He is playing a healer, I'm playing a tank, and these two are playing damage dealers. So what I'm going to do is go into our dungeon.
You got a nice little combo there.
Yeah, we need one more damage dealer, but they have like a group finder. So even if you're playing by yourself, you'll always be able to do group content. You'll just be put with random people. That's called pugging. Trying to get random people. People advise against it because the skill levels vary wildly.
Sure.
But yeah, you can select your role. So up here, I'm saying I will be the leader. I know where I'm going. And I'm selecting tank as my role. And then I'm also going to select DPS just in case we find another tank who wants to play.
And then
I
you
can play
transition
DPS.
over.
Yeah, but usually I do this, and I'll play whatever. But I don't have gear for the healer role just yet. So yeah, what I'm going to do is press go, and we're going to get into a dungeon very quickly, but that's because we have a tank and a healer in the party already. Those people you have to wait for quite a lot because they are specialist and difficult to find. So it should go whatever very quick. And this is when it plays me up. There we go. Everyone had to accept. Everyone's accepted, and now the group finder's popped. Fingers crossed this is a good dungeon. This one's alright. This one's okay.
So when the dungeon you're going in, it's just... This doesn't have to do with the area we were just in. That underground cave.
So yeah, we queued for a random dungeon. So dungeons come in multiple kind of... we got a random hunter. That's not great. So because I'm the tank, I'm going to go. You see I've got a diamond over my head. My friend has placed that over me so he can see where I am.
Okay.
So I'm going to move in. I'm going to get the aggro of these enemies so they're not going to attack any of my friends. And it's my job right now to basically keep them in such a tight ball so my friends can do AoE damage. And you see that went red because my friend got aggro because he's doing so much damage. And all I need to do is keep those bars below and keep all of the mobs in a general vicinity of each other so they can do more efficient AoE and keep myself alive. So you'll see my health is going down quite drastically. I can use certain abilities to kind of shield myself. That's what that kind of white, kind of silvery signifier is. That's me shielding myself. And then do as much damage as I can. So this dungeon is interesting. The beginning of it, we have to find these captains. I've just used a taunt ability to make them come to me. That shield slam's going to knock me back. Some of my friends accidentally pulled, so I'm going to get the aggression of these guys. And now I see to stay alive, which is the hard part of playing tank. And let my DPS and my healer do my thing. So you can see here as a guide, guys, for like what my health is at. That's at the top, or you can see it here. So I didn't pull these guys.
Dropped down too far yet.
Yeah, and then everyone else's health. You should, if I'm doing my job correctly, you should only really see my health bar move.
Yeah.
But sometimes enemies do AoE damage that hit everyone, and that's more of a healer thing that they need to do. So, yeah, we're moving up. Once you get into like deeper parts of the game. Once you get into deeper parts of the game, there are things like interrupts that you can do. So you can see that these guys are like doing pot shots and shoot and stuff like that.
Stuff that takes a little time to load up.
They cannot be interrupted. So these enemies are moving towards us. I'm just going to see if one of my players pulls them. In an ideal world, we don't want to, but they did. So I'm going to move in, get their attention really quickly. You see our health bars are getting quite low. So I'm going to pop some defensives just so my healer can focus on the rest of the team and not me. And Reese, my healer, is incredibly good, so he dealt with that. We're also playing on effectively the easy mode of the dungeons because I think I'm the only player out of me and my friends who's max level. So effectively what I'm doing right now is I'm helping them. I'm not really going to get anything for doing this dungeon, apart from some currency.
Yeah, but walking them through it. So you have, it's you, it's 3 people you know, and then it's 1 random.
And 1 random person, yeah. So
how's the rando been doing so far?
How's the rando been doing? So you can see that, all aggro. So you can see a lot of the names are red. I need to pay attention for a second and get aggro.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. You can see how they're doing. So I have an add-on on the left side of my screen. You can see it down here.
Okay.
That is a DPS meter. So you might not be able to see the names, but you can do it by color. So my friend Steve, he's pink. Misfortune is my my friend Matt. Lo Chi is me, that kind of like green. And the Quashkai is the rando. So you can see how one of my friend's bars is a lot bigger than the others.
Yeah.
That's because he's doing way more damage. In that one fight, he did 7.5 million damage, and he did 304k a second.
Large numbers.
So he's like, in WoW terms, we call him a big pumper. He's a fatty pumper.
Oh, fatty pumper.
Yeah, if you're pumping the DPS meters, you're a fatty pumper. And boy, does my friend Matt and Steve, they both pump. So do I. If I'm DPSing, I'm also a fatty pumper. But
maybe that's why you guys are friends, because y'all pump fat ones.
Yeah. That's how. And to be honest, if I see you in WoW and you're a fatty pumper, we're automatically friends. So this is a boss. This is a very simple boss. This dungeon's okay, mainly because thematically it's not that interesting. It's just like sieging this city. But this is the captain, and he will have mechanics, but because we're playing in normal mode, we don't really need to focus on him at all. We kind of just like face roll our way through it, kill him, and then I'm going to touch of death him, so he suddenly had less health than me, so I could touch of death him. Just looted him, got some Valor Stones, which is really cool. So...
if they have more health, does Touch of Death like take off a certain amount of health?
You can't use Touch of Death unless they have less health than you.
They would die.
Yeah, it wouldn't even allow me to use it. So that was unfortunate. What the hunter did there, which he's showing himself up live on stream. Hunters are very well known for doing something called ninja pulling, which is pulling is when it's always the tank's job to run in and get aggression on the mobs first. Yeah. Because that's how they, keep aggro, and you have to think of aggro as like a hierarchy. So the more damage you do, the higher you're going to be on the aggro table. So if a player pulls first, if they go in and hit the enemies first, they're going to be higher than the tank on the aggro table. So, like, right now, I'm struggling to get... it's getting a bit hairy. Sorry, it got a bit messy there. You always want the tank to go first and hit things first. But sometimes you get players that are, like, randos, especially hunters, love to do it, apparently. They will ninja pull, so they'll just start shooting things to try and get higher on the damage meters first. Yeah. And it just makes my job harder. Usually, if I wasn't on stream, I would let the mobs kill them to teach them a lesson. But I don't want to be a knobhead on stream. So yeah, we just summoned this next boss. He, I think, has some mechanics. I'm not sure.
What was that klaxon?
That klaxon. So this is an add-on. So why WoW is another reason why WoW is so good. And for the opposite reasons, one of the reasons why FF14 is so good as well. FF14 doesn't allow these things, but WoW has these things called add-ons, which allow you to modify the game in any way you want. You can completely change the UI, effectively how it looks and how it displays information. Going to touch of death.
Is that what the damage thing you have on the left?
Yes. So this damage thing isn't part of the base game. It's it's an add-on that we use, and it takes the data that the game is pumping out and puts it in a way that's readable. So I can change this and change it to healing done. So I can see that my friend Reese is like top of the healing done. At the moment it's on each encounter, but I'm going to put it on overall. So you can see that Dragon Mummy, my friend who's playing the healer, he has done the most healing out of this entire dungeon, but I'm close behind him because I'm the tank. I can also change it to interrupts. So this is something I haven't really explained yet. But I was explaining how some enemies are casting abilities. Yeah. So you see that guy in the back, he's doing something called Holy Smite. And when another guy does it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my abilities, which is an interrupt. So greater heal, I'm going to press interrupt, and it said interrupted by Lo Chi. Oh my god, Hunter, why are you pulling so much? My fucking god, dude. So did you see? You probably didn't see it, but he like shot behind these guys and pulled everything behind.
And then that other group that you guys weren't even focused on is suddenly like, oh, we're gonna go in here.
Yeah, we're going over here. So we don't really want to kill those. Like, if you don't need to kill something, you shouldn't really be doing it. So Interrupts are a thing. Like, you can interrupt people's spell casting, and that can stop them stunning you, stop them doing damage. It's like a really important thing.
Yeah.
In the end game, when you get into real serious like dungeons, this is baby things. Like in end game, that holy smite that person just did might one-shot someone in your team.
Yeah.
So you have to interrupt it. So I have it here on my damage meters, the interrupts. So I can see in this dungeon I've done 8 interrupts. Mitten has done 4 and Misfortune has done 2. So the healer and the rando have done none. Which is something we'd usually shout at them for. But not actually shout, but like in endgame.
Every character has the ability to interrupt?
A lot of characters do. Some don't. Okay. I think priests rarely have one. So those enemies, we don't want to kill those, so we're going to hug this left side and fight this last boss.
And you didn't want to kill them just because you didn't want to aggro them? Like,
yeah, it's just a bit of a waste of time. In the harder difficulties, oh shit. Oh, it pulls them. Okay, so if you pull the boss, it pulls these as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm gonna do, didn't work, okay. So I'm gonna grab that aggro, and then see that red one? I'm gonna taunt it so I get aggro on it. Because somebody else has got aggro. I'm gonna stun these to interrupt all of them at the same time. And we're gonna kill these, and then we need to move up, so I'm gonna use a speed boost to go up. And that boss is doing a really bad ability, so we need to basically break his shield to stop him doing this. But my job's getting difficult because a load of mobs are spawning, so I'm gonna... So this boss is a little bit more intense because it's the last boss. So what I'm going to do is use a big keg smash to get all of their attention. And now it's a race for us to kill this boss as fast as possible because he just keeps summoning things. So we're getting close.
So going back to that klaxon earlier, was just an add-on?
Oh, that was an add-on, yeah.
Getting low or something? Or...
Yeah, it's if I'm stood in an AoE. So you see how I stood in something in the floor and it goes...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I've just got an add-on that instead of me having to just think about it, it just goes...
And you're like, oh, this is annoying. I need to get off of here.
Yeah, that like this thing is killing you. Get out of this.
Yeah.
And you can get loads of things like that to help you. You can get add-ons like daily boss mobs and stuff like that, or weak auras that will effectively tell you when abilities are coming. So they'll be like, in 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, this boss is going to do this. And
like, what's the add-on like? Does Blizzard have to approve them?
They're not approved by Blizzard, but they are checked by them, and then they are. So I'm going to currently decline that and leave. So I know these people are probably watching. Guys, I'm going to leave the party so we can not have this hunter in our party.
Oh, R.I.P. Hunter.
I don't want them pulling stuff. So, yeah, they're not necessarily approved by Blizzard, but like they are checked by them heavily, and they only allow a specific API to be used to make them, so that they don't have access to anything they shouldn't have.
It's mostly just about conveying information. None of it is like
and that's information you can already get in game. It's just displayed in a different way. So
gotcha. So the klaxon, like there was a visual representation of what the klaxon was doing audibly.
Yeah, and it does it audibly, or like they know that the game knows that you are stood in an AoE and you are taking damage. So the add-on just takes that information and goes, if these conditions are met, play sound.
It's kind of like accessibility features, almost like.
Effectively, yes, and you can customize them to do your own and stuff like that, which is really, really nice. So yeah, we get basically a readout of the dungeon from this. I'm wondering if I can make this bigger for people. Not really.
Just longer.
So damage done overall throughout the dungeon. We can see my friend Matt, Misfortune, did 406 million damage. That
a lot
dungeon.
of damages.
And we can even get a breakdown of exactly what abilities they used, how frequently they used them.
Man, that's amazing.
So at the end game, it's very useful. It's a very useful tool for you to understand how you use your rotation. Maybe if you're using something a little too less or too much.
Yeah.
So for me, last expansion with Touch of Death, because Touch of Death is so important. So like we can see it here. So if I go in here, I know I'm playing a monk, but we can see that Touch of Death I used, it was my 11th most damaging ability. And apparently I only used it twice.
Mm-hmm.
And it did 3.6 million. So in hindsight, I probably should be using that more, right?
Yeah, to just instantly take out certain enemies.
Yeah, but I also know Keg Smash is doing a lot of damage. So
yeah,
and I had 92% uptime on it of the debuff that it puts on enemies. So I used that really well, and it means I should probably keep prioritizing that. And the same for like my
it's this sort of super detailed breakdown of like after going through a raid or a dungeon or something is interesting in that you can show that data to someone who knows the game even better than you, and they could probably look at it and be like, oh, you should try doing more X and Y and less of
yes.
Z.
It's even out of your control. Your data on exactly what you've done is captured by the game at all times, and people have made websites that take this data and display it like this did.
Yeah.
So people can see the best raiders in the world, the people who are doing like world firsts, go into their data and see exactly what kind of rotations they're using and what they're prioritizing and the stats they're prioritizing, because I haven't really spoken about gear. So on each piece of gear that we have here, you won't be able to read much of this, guys, because of the stream, but I'll just go through it. Each piece of gear has different stats like crit strike, haste. They're down here: crit, haste, mastery, versatility, speed, dodge, parry, stuff like that. Different classes will prioritize different stats because they augment those classes better. So, for example, Fire Mage benefits a lot from crit strike because they have abilities that mean if they crit with it, then X happens or they get more stuff, right? So you want gear that has a lot of crit strike on it. So with this data, you can go see what the top players are prioritizing gear-wise and what gear they're using and stuff like that. So you can really get down into the nitty-gritty. And it's a huge... It is a huge focus for the end game, but you don't need to play like that. This is just if you want to, right? So... Any mouse? No, I haven't seen...
I actually just Googled
14
that.
analysis,
14 analysis, Civ analysis, whatever you want to call it, which seems like it's a site that does the
exact same
thing.
And it's wonderful, right? It's so useful, and people get obsessed with it, right? And I did for a long time. About it was last expansion. In the first season of the last expansion, I was in like the top 10% of players for Monk in the world.
Oh wow.
And that's because I got obsessed with like how my rotation was, and and I found joy and fun in trying to maximize how I was playing, and getting really good at it, and that's really good.
The skills you have from playing an MMO for so long translate over to other MMOs?
Yes.
Like if you were like do things you've learned in WoW, do they help you in Guild Wars or Final Fantasy? Or if you were to jump in a brand new MMO, do you feel like your base would give you kind of a leg up?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like my experience with WoW, and I'm sure Mouse will probably say the same here. My experience with WoW made me a better Final Fantasy player, Final Fantasy 14 player, because a lot of the mechanical expression in that game is just MMO WoW play. And Final Fantasy 14 is a little bit deliberately. It is a little bit slower. It's a little bit less frantic, but I think that's in a lot of ways to the game's benefit. It's kind of like a different kind of play style. It's for different kinds of people. But yeah, I can go into that game and be like, oh, okay, well, I know what my single target rotation is. I know what my AoE rotation is. Oh, and these are my major cooldowns. And it's like, I just know the kind of structure they're using. And it's the same in Guild Wars. Okay, so this is one of the shorter Ashkahet dungeons. So we're now moving into the city. So that area I was stood in, we're now doing a dungeon that is based in that area.
Oh, okay.
With the Nerubians. So I'm going to move forward and pull a load of people.
We've got another rando. Got a new rando this time? So
they're an arcane mage.
Okay.
So they're just a mage player who's playing the arcane specialization. So yeah, we'll see how they do. They're currently AFK, which is great. So we might be kicking them, but we'll see. So you'll see here, there's loads of enemies. I'm going to avoid a lot of them.
Shit ton of them. It seems like, again, from a relative novice point of view, it seems like this, Guild Wars, and Final Fantasy are the three MMOs that are seem to be most highly regarded, most talked about, and everything. Is there like a clear fourth? you know, it just
Maple
seems like
Story?
those three have.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Black Desert Online. I don't know. I guess it's like how do you define it, like without it being a fantasy kind of thing? Because like Eve Online's really popular, and that's an MMO.
Sure, yeah.
But it's down to how you define it, I think.
Have you futzed with the New World, the Amazon one at all?
No, I have a kind of sixth sense for when games are going to be garbage, and I avoided that like the plague. And lo and behold.
Yeah, it's funny they announced that that's getting an episode of that secret level show, the Amazon thing. Of course, that makes sense. It's on Amazon, so like, of course they're going to be like, yes,
it's a cool
beloved
setting.
MMO.
It's a really cool setting, like kind of dark fantasy, kind of what is it, Spanish?
Like Inquisition almost.
Yeah, like it. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's not something I fuck with, mainly because like I play so many other MMOs. Guild Wars 2, I love Guild Wars 2. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I've played Touch of Death, that guy. I've played so much of it, but its endgame is just really bad. So I just kind of play that out of nostalgia and love for the gameplay mechanics, of characters. This game, I love its endgame, and that's why I play it. And I've just got so much history with it. But it's the same with FF14. I've only recently got into it, and I think that's a lot of people. I only got into it because I got disillusioned with WoW during Shadowlands and wanted another MMO to tickle that itch.
So what was you kind of talked about it earlier? What was it about Shadowlands that seems
everything they did was just it felt like, do you know, like if you're in a kind of loveless relationship and you're just going through the motions?
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I can kind of show it while we're doing this, boss. So, okay, so there's lots of sets that you can get. Like, every raid tier that comes out, you get these brand new sets. This is the most recent one. Look how cool this is for a monk. Like, it's themed around a monk with the bull horns, the kind of samurai
Shao
set.
Kahn from
yeah, and, like, let's look at the one for priest, right? If we go look at the one for priest, like, look at that. Look how cool that is. Like a shadow priest. Fucking awesome. In Shadowlands, they didn't really have any of these kind of... Well, they did, but they were just boring. All of the sets they added were boring. All of the gameplay mechanics they added were boring. All of the gated content they were making was boring. The story was just counterintuitive and just basically kind of spat on everything that came before it. And people just had enough. So I just got some legs just to do this. So my friend, Misfortune, who I'm going to trade with, if they stop moving... Matt, stop moving! He's probably got a delay, right? So you'll see him stop moving in a second. Matt! Stop! So I don't need to... We have the same armor class. We're both leather wearers. So I just got those trousers. I can give them to my friend.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not really gaining anything from this because I'm kind of past this level of content. I'm moving into heroic dungeons.
But these guys, the rest of the crew is getting cool.
They can benefit from it. So yeah, Shadowlands was just it was a shit show. Yeah, Any Mouse, we should do that. We should get into some hardcore fucking FF.
Yeah, I was seeing the Savage Raids in Final Fantasy. They're a tournament tower arc from an anime like Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, it's so cool. And WoW has similar things. But anyway, yeah, Shadowlands was a big problem. A lot of people quit, including so that guy back there is a ranged guy. So. The thing with ranged guys is they will stand still unless you interrupt them. If you interrupt their cast, they can't cast again for another period of time. So what the DPS should be doing, they should be interrupting those ranged people so they come towards me and get in the death ball, if you will. But we weren't doing that, so that's fine. This is a fucking shit show. I'm going to pop a defensive cooldown.
There's so much going on right now.
Yeah, there is and there isn't. It looks like there is, but if you cut back the visual noise, all I really need to worry about is that these names are blue.
Yeah.
If these names are blue and me and my friends are not standing in those big fucking AoEs that are coming out, we're fine. And as a tank, it's my job to kind of face the mobs away from the team so that those AoEs come towards me and not them. It's all about positioning and... for all of us, but mainly me, because you'll see how I like turn my camera like that.
Yeah.
And want to try and point them in a different direction. But there are also abilities that will go and hit other players and stuff like that.
Sure.
So, yeah, what the fuck? Why are these guys? Why are you coming here? What do you want?
Fucking beetles. Fucking Beetleborgs.
So, what I've just done... Please don't pull that other big one. Please don't pull that other big one. Okay, thank God. Shadowlands was... Who the fuck pulled that mage? So you see how that mage is getting slapped now? Yeah, I'm just gonna...
Classic mage.
Classic mage. Shadowlands was garbage. Everyone stopped playing. And then, genuinely, it was a massive kick in the ass to Blizz. This is when a lot of stuff was going down with a lot of the controversies with Blizzard as well. Internally, they were in a very bad spot. And I won't really speak to that. But I do know through lots of interviews and restructuring that I'm aware of that they have weeded out all of the bad eggs, and they've brought in a lot of the people who had left the WoW team. They've brought back, who are trying to bring it back to its glory days, like Chris Metzen and stuff like that. And they're really just trying to not bring back what people loved about WoW, but also bring it into a new era of let's learn from what other MMOs are doing. Let's listen to the community about what they want and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like almost for so long it was like it almost had a monopoly on MMOs, and so like you see that with all genres. You see that with sports games where it's like if there's no competition, it's not gonna breed innovation.
I want a tiny goat.
Oh, okay. But it seems like this, from what you've played so far of the War Within, it seems like they've kind of turned a good corner with the game.
They turned a good corner last expansion with Dragonflight, and a lot of people didn't play it because they were still... the Shadowlands was the expansion before Dragonflight.
Yeah.
They had made so many positive changes and so many things to just help the community and just bring the game and push it in a good direction. But a lot of people just ignored that. We get these flying dudes because they suck and will attack my my team behind. But yeah, they've really turned a corner, and they're doing... For fuck's sake. Oh, if you go in that, it roots you and spawns a slime. Okay, well, good to know. I didn't know that. They've really done so much to kind of bring back the players, and I genuinely wish more people would give it a go, because I'm really proud of what the team has produced. Yeah, I just want more people to play. There's something, there's an aspect of this game that not a lot of people think about, and right now, because of how I play, it's probably not been something you thought about. Which is how you play it, right? You don't play this game with a controller, you play it with a mouse and keyboard. But you can see I've got loads of buttons down here which I can go down and press with my mouse and keyboard. But you'll see that I don't do that.
They're just assigned to keys on your keyboard.
They're assigned to keys, and then if I run out of keys, you can't really read it because of the stream, but here there's like SR, SF, SV, right and left, so they're assigned to shift keybinds, so I can just hold shift and then do them. Because one of the things, like, if you ever start playing this game, which I hope a lot of you do, I hope you do get into this game. My next video is going to be on this as well, and at the end of that video, I'm thinking about starting like a little Second Wind guild. So all Second Wind players can have a space and we can all play together. But when you first start, if you first start playing this game, your natural inclination is going to be... So I just got a face piece, so I'm going to find my friend Matt again. I'm sure he's going to be very happy that I've got this.
Goodies for Matt. Congrats, Matt.
He just got a face piece as well, so that's great. So there's, again, guys, I'm just going to leave for a second, and then we'll get another one shortly. A lot of people, when they first start, their natural inclination will be to click their abilities with their mouse.
Yeah.
And also, not just click their abilities with their mouse, but also enemies. So I'll give you an example of this in practice and how slow this is.
By like having to move your mouse from the enemy to the ability to the enemy.
So I'm going to click this guy and then click an ability, and then I want to get that guy, click him. I want to move towards him, I'll do that. Then click him again and then press this button and then flame breath. And I'm just going to kill these guys now because touch of death. He's dead.
Rips.
It's extremely slow, and nearly everyone who starts, including myself back in the day when I was a kid, I was a clicker. The community will call you a clicker. And it's just because that's what we call people who click their abilities. And you can visibly see it in how someone moves, like if they're a clicker. because people who aren't clickers will do something that I'm doing right now. You'll see that my camera's moving.
Yeah.
So you can see my mouse here. Can you die? Can you? There you go. My mouse is moving, and I'm using WASD to move my character, and you can see it's kind of locked the camera, and I'm just moving on like a grid. If you hold right mouse button, I'm just holding forward, and my character is moving where my camera is pointing.
Sure.
And you can tell if someone's a clicker because they'll move like this. And you can visibly see them moving on this kind of like grid.
Yeah.
And they're doing that. So like if an AoE comes down on here, like something's coming down like that on you, to get out of it, people will go, oh no. Right? Rather than in my case, which would be like, if I'm holding right mouse button, I can strafe and move around.
Yeah.
A lot more. So you can visibly see it, and you will see it reflected in the damage. A clicker will probably do half as much damage as someone who's using keybinds. So you want to encourage people to start keybinding things as soon as possible, and this is why leveling a new character is so important, because you learn what your abilities are slowly over time.
Yeah, as opposed to just jumping in and being like, all right, now I have to put everything everywhere.
Look how intimidating this stuff is, right? Like, but when you boil it down,
phosphorescent lampy. This thing's called a lampy on the left.
A lampy? A lampy red? Oh my god, kill it.
Kill it. We're killing a lampy.
Kill it. Lampy scampy. I'm touch death, you lampy.
Rips.
Get fucking kill build.
Coffee Koala with a 5-pound dono. Thank you so much, Coffee Koala. JM8, did you get into the Mists of Pandaria remix at all?
Yeah.
What would be your favorite expansion to relive again for the
Legion.
first time?
Oh my god, Legion. First of all, yes, I did get into Mob Remix. It was this whole thing. Basically, what they did, there was an expansion years ago where I first made Lo Chi, which was called Mists of Pandaria. Everyone loved it. It was really good. Honestly, it's my favorite expansion. And what they did for an event was they just went, before this expansion came out, they went, oh, we've made a version of it that is super fast to level, and you can get infinitely powerful in it, and you can unlock all of the cosmetics and mounts in this in like a fast-paced, fun environment and level characters really quickly. And you get to keep the characters afterwards and use them in the real game.
That's cool.
It was extremely cool. And I have friends, shout out to Ori, who leveled one of every class, but also one of every class, including each of every spec.
Jesus.
But that's how fast you were able to do
it. You were able to do it in a much faster time.
Well, usually it would take you to cap from 0 to 80. You're looking at 30 hours or something. But in that game, you could get from 0 to cap in an hour.
Yeah.
So they had all of these. But yeah, I played it. A lot of the mounts I have, like this one, was from that event. And how I played it, instead of just leveling loads of characters again, I basically just made Lo Chi again, but I made them gender bent, so they were called Lo Chi.
Oh, I noticed you had the two different characters with those names, and I was like, what's going on
there?
Yeah,
there's Lo Chi, and then there's Lo Shi, who was like my female version who went through. And I basically just wanted to relive Pandaria again.
Oh, I love that.
But through that character. So I got all the cosmetics that I didn't get back then, and kind of just relived it and really liked it. And that's tried out new classes. It was great. But like, if they were to do that again, Coffee Koala, Legion was hands down, mechanically and thematically, the best thing they've ever done. And I would love to relive that, but I guarantee that's coming soon.
Sure. So I went back and looked, and November 2004. So this November is going to be the 20th anniversary of WoW, and then there was in January of 2007 the Burning Crusade came out, and then afterwards, every 2 years, a new expansion came out.
And they've been major. They've been crazy shakeups to the game.
2008 was Lich King, 2010 was Cataclysm, 2012 was Pandaria, 2014 was Warlords of Draenor, 16 was Legion, 18 was Battle for Azeroth, 20 was Shadowlands, 22 was Dragonflight, and now War Within.
24 is War Within, yeah. And this expansion is a trilogy. It's the beginning of a trilogy, so the stories are not going to be self-contained. They're going to be told
so they've already announced
expansions.
What the next two are going to be?
Yes, we already know. It's the Last Titan and something else. Or the last one is the Last Titan. But anyway, it's like a continued story throughout all three, and that's what they want to do and get people get people invested and
Blood Pits.
I accidentally flew into the raid, so it's just teleported me away. But yeah, so oh yeah, to quickly finish my clicking thing.
Oh yeah, please do.
Oh god, I'm trapped. Oh, fuck.
Get out of there! Get out of there! You gotta get out!
So clicking is really bad, but also clicking on enemies is really bad. Like, oh, I want to attack this guy. Okay, I'll click on him. As you saw, at any one time there can be tens and like hundreds of things on screen,
up together, and so you don't actually know what you're clicking on.
It's so hard to figure out. And bear in mind that I have an add-on that displays these health bars in a lot more of a cleaner way and a readable way. It can be really difficult. So what you do, and this is what I guess the kind of genre of MMO this is, they call it tab targeting. So by default, if you press tab, it will cycle through enemies. So in a proximity. So you see how like certain of them are being highlighted? Yeah. So I'm not pressing tab because tab is keybind to something else for me. For me, it's middle mouse click. So as a tank, I can just run in, and if I see a name that's not blue, I just tab through until I get to it. And then you can taunt it or get aggro or whatever. And the game will prioritize things as a tank. It knows you're tanking. Oh, and say fun. All of them are blue, but one isn't. If you tab target, it will prioritize the non-aggro enemy, so you can target them instantly. So next time in the dungeon, if you watch how I play, and this is for the viewers, watch how you'll see my abilities. Like you can see them light up, like shine when I press them. You'll see what abilities I'm using by which ones light up, and you'll also see that I'm tabbing through enemy health bars.
Yeah.
And that will give you, and that's why I was like, when you said, "Holy shit, there's so much happening," I'm like, yes and no. Like
almost like on the surface there's a lot happening, but when you know what to look at and what to look through,
for the tank it's like, are the health bars blue, which one's red, get aggro, angle them in a certain way, and then it's the same for the DPS. The healers have arguably the hardest job. So I'm going to use an AoE ability to get their aggro. You see they're all blue. I'm going to move forward, use more AoE, get all of their health bars.
Oh yeah, everyone turns blue.
Everyone turns blue. I'm going to interrupt that guy, and then they've gone red, so I just tab target towards them, taunt them again. Now they're on me again. It's really simple, and it's the same for damage dealers in the sense of they don't need to worry about aggro, like, at all. All they need to worry about is should I be doing my single target or AoE rotations based on how many enemies there are, and it's usually, if it's not a boss, it's usually AoE, because if you have a good tank, he will always be progressing to the next pack straight away.
Yeah.
So you never really need to stop. And if you have a tank and a healer that coordinate really well, like me and Reese do, we know each other. We've been playing for years together. I know how much kind of damage I can take and he can heal. So you get to the point in the end game where you're just pulling giga fuck tons of stuff, and it's the most satisfying thing ever, because it's this dance of the tank using their cooldowns correctly, the healer keeping everyone alive, and the damage dealers just like absolutely pumping their AoE rotations, and it's so good. So yeah, this boss, it's going to have its mechanics that we're not really going to have to deal with because this is a normal mode. This is the baby mode. But I think for this one I need to stand in the way.
His first dungeon boss.
But yeah, to kind of explain how the dungeons work, so there are 8 new ones in this expansion, and they're all incredible. I really hope I get to show you the candle one. Let's go this way. The one based around the kobolds, and the Candle King, and the darkness. I really hope I get to show you that. They're really fun. But they come in normal mode, which is baby mode. You get really basic gear, and it's the mechanics are usually dampened. They're not very complex. I think I can take more, so I'm going to taunt this guy to get his aggression. I'm going to hide behind this wall.
What do you mean the mechanics are dampened?
So, okay, so each
what
boss,
mechanics would a normal mode not have compared to a harder mode?
So, okay, so there's a boss in this... there's a boss in this game, which is in a dungeon, where he is a big boss stood in this big arena, right, in this big city, and he's patrolling around. And you have to effectively kill 3 of his generals around the map to weaken him.
Okay.
And that is the mechanic. That's what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
But in normal mode, because it's normal mode, you don't really need to go kill his generals, because he doesn't really have as much health, or he doesn't hit as hard. So
sure.
I know I need to kill these, so I'm just gonna move over here and kill these preemptively. But if you then go to the next level up, is called Heroic. In Heroic, if you don't go and kill at least 2 of those generals, he will one-shot you, and you will die.
Crazy strong. So,
oh my, what? Why did I turn around and see all these people have been pulled?
There's so many. What happened?
We got another hunter.
No. Why do you keep getting?
We're getting hunted.
All
right, I'm gonna do something. No, I'm not gonna do it on stream. I usually, if I see a hunter and they start pulling, I usually kick them. And I know the vote will go through. Steve. Okay, it's Steve. He's doing it. Absolute knobhead.
Classic Steve.
Classic Steve. Yeah, so Heroics, it's kind of like how the game's meant to be played. Like, the mechanics kind of need to be done. But there's another level above, which is the thing I play, which is called Mythic. So Mythic dungeons are really interesting. So once you've done Heroic, you can do it on a Mythic difficulty, and if you do a dungeon in Mythic, you get given a key. It's called a Mythic Keystone. And what this Mythic Keystone does is you can walk into a dungeon and put this key in this like hourglass thing, and it will set a new difficulty of that dungeon. So your key will be of a certain level of like Mythic Keystone 1, and that means that all of the enemies have more health, they do more damage. Oh my god. So that's a mechanic.
That fucking train car come back.
Yeah, that's a mechanic that we didn't really have to deal with because we killed them so quick because we're in normal mode. But in Heroic and Mythic, it'd be difficult. Right?
You'd have to watch out for minecarts rolling by.
For this boss specifically, like they all have their own. So if I go to this adventure guide, the boss we just fought, which I think was this one, they have all of these mechanics that they'll do.
Gotcha.
So the tanks need to worry about this, the damage dealers need to worry about this, and the healers need to worry about this. It's a whole thing. But yeah, Mythic, why Mythic is so interesting and I love it so much is because it infinitely scales. So if you complete a +1 Mythic dungeon, you will then get, based on how quickly you did it, your key will upgrade to, say, a +3. And then with that +3, you have now times the damage and the health of those enemies and bosses by X amount. And also, the higher you go up in key level, I think it's at level 3, 5, and 9, I think. At 3, 5, and 9, they start adding more mechanics. Like, every certain amount of time, volcanoes will spawn underneath your feet, and
gotcha. Okay, more. So you have things to have to worry about.
Yeah, and it just keeps going and going. And the beauty of it is the gear scales with it. So the higher you do, the better gear you get, and it does cap out at about a +10 because obviously your gear is not going to infinitely go up.
Yeah. So that's kind of the equivalent of like what we were talking about yesterday on Windbreaker with sort of creating your own difficulty, of even like what the Supergiant games do.
Yeah, it's like you're choosing to add modifiers and make the game harder. And then you get like a ranking, so you can brag. You can brag about it to your friends, and you get special mounts for doing specific difficulties and stuff. But yeah, Mythic Dungeons is the most fun I've ever had in WoW. Getting online with your friends and just doing some Mythic Dungeons in the evening. And do you know I was talking about that kind of coordination that you need of... If you're in a +10, that
you
ability...
need to be like a well-oiled machine.
These guys will kill you. So at least 2 of your team members need to... be interrupting these abilities or you'll fail. So you all have to work in coordination, and it's so satisfying and super, super rewarding. There's other endgame content like raids, which are effectively like 10 to 20 man massive dungeons that have like 12 bosses in them, and they're usually... There's less trash. The enemies between bosses, they're referred to as trash. And there's less trash in raids and more bosses, and they're more mechanically intense. A lot of the times dungeons are... The bosses have mechanics that if you don't do correctly at high levels, they will kill you. But a lot of the times it's dealing with trash. And the beautiful thing about Mythic Plus as well is it's a time trial, so you have to do it within a certain time or you don't get a reward. And why can't I get aggro on these guys? That's so annoying.
Yeah, you just keep staying red and yellow.
Yeah, the yellow's like the inner state of like you nearly have aggro, not fully. Yeah, so mythic dungeons are a trial, like a time trial, but also you have the modifiers that make it harder. What was I can't remember what I was gonna say. I got distracted by those people. Time trials. Okay, so I'm gonna move these guys. You have to do all your interrupts and get this guy's attention.
Arnab with a $10 dono, thank you so much. Very few hardcore MMO players talk about ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, but it has a healthier player base across PC, PlayStation, and Xbox compared to Guild Wars 2. Have you ever futzed with ESO at all?
I have. I just don't like how it plays mechanically. But I could say that I get for any Elder Scrolls game, honestly. Yeah, it's not something I've dabbled with in the endgame. I know it's very PvP focused. I just don't like how it plays, mainly because it's not a tab-targeted MMO. It's tried to emulate that kind of Skyrim Elder Scrolls gameplay, and I've never liked that in the first place. So as you can see, these orbs appeared on us. That was a mechanic, but we didn't need to deal with it. So.
Because you're at the lower level, you can kind of.
Yeah, we just absolutely minced the boss. Another piece of gear for my friend.
Double Finger with a €5 dono. Thank you so much, Double Finger. It's really simple, he says, as I see a screen that looks like a colorful spreadsheet exploded over a pile of mistreated Magic the Gathering cards.
But that's the beauty of it, right? You learn your class, you slowly learn it as it introduces abilities to you. You only have a few when you start, and each level you get will introduce new things. So your abilities, all of this becomes very self-explanatory to you. Like I could explain what all of this is. All of this here, you don't need to worry about. These are just like things I have on my bar because I want quick access to them. Same with these. This is my rotation. These are my cooldowns, and these are my cooldowns. And everything up here is just utility. So being able to stun people, being able to push people around, being able to paralyze and heal myself. So it looks complicated, but then you slowly learn it, and then dungeons are intimidating when you first start playing, right?
Sure.
Playing a role like a tank or a healer, I love healing because of how intense it is. So when you see all these health bars bouncing up and down, my friend Dragon Mummy has to manage, and all of their abilities heal everyone else. So they have to decide in the moment, what ability am I going to use to heal these people most efficiently, because they're fighting against how much mana they have, right?
Yeah.
So every role you play is very different. Every class and specialization within that is very different. But mastering those classes and those specializations, and then exploring that with your friends in dungeons and raids, is super satisfying. Or you can not do any of that, and you can play Pokemon. This game has a fucking full-blown Pokemon system. There are pets that you can get, lots of them, and mine are all themed around being a monk. And you can go find critters around the world. I'll try and find one. You can find critters around the world and literally Pokemon battle them, and level your creatures up and build your team of Pokemon things. Or you can just go do old content and go get Transmogs so you look cool.
That's the important thing.
You can do anything.
Important things to look cool.
And it's the same with FF14. This is why MMOs are so good, because a lot of games like to say this. I can't believe we're doing this dungeon again. This fucking dungeon. Because it's random, the ones you go into, right?
Yeah.
Let's try and turbo this. Let's try and go a bit harder. MMOs say this a lot, and a lot of games try to say this, but you can literally play this game however you want.
Yeah.
And that's
what
what's kept me playing.
It's not bullshit.
No, it's real. It's for realsies. For realsies.
And I'd also argue, while I do agree that it is this is a stimulus overload, I would say when you just look at anyone who has been playing a long time of a game you're not familiar with, you're going to get that stimuli overload, right? If you see someone who jumps into Call of Duty or Fortnite, you're going to go, what is happening here?
Yeah.
If you see someone who's playing Balatro or Tetris Effect,
right.
or even a single-player JRPG, and they're cruising through their menus and everything, you're going to be like, what is happening? So,
we spoke about with clicking and tab targeting stuff, a lot of what you're seeing right now is just buttons below my character flashing, and then things happening. But to me, for fuck's sake, who ass-pulled? So now it's my job to stay alive and keep this aggro, and then keep the enemies near this boss, so then my players can AoE all of them down at the same time. I'm going to use a cooldown because it's getting a bit heavy.
Yeah, Indie Mouse, Dota 2, the same thing. Even like the non-hyper-competitive games, when I watch every, summer and winter, when I watch like Summer Games Done Quick or Awesome Games Done Quick, I'll see them playing games I feel like I know very well. Like, I feel like I know Mario Sunshine and Ocarina of Time and Donkey Kong Country. I feel like I know these games very well, and then I watch people play them who have invested a million times more hours into it than I have, and I'm like, oh, I don't know this game at all. This looks like gobbledygook.
Yeah, right. And it's gonna feel that way, and it's gonna look that way, but like, I genuinely do think like if you get used to playing on mouse and keyboard, like WoW is super accessible. It's got scaled content for everyone, and you can go as hard or as casual as you like, and it's wonderful.
And I think like it has to be, even if you haven't played WoW, you kind of have to realize like WoW brought so many people into the MMO genre that there's no way its onboarding was bad. Like, it had to have pretty clean onboarding in order to amass the player base and the crowd that it had.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. You actually just reminded me. My friend in chat just said percent. The beautiful thing about Mythic Plus, that really difficult version.
Oh yeah.
The goal is to just kill the bosses quick enough. But then your question would be, well, why don't you just run past all of the enemies?
Yeah.
Because you can play classes like Rogue, who can go invisible, or Druids can go invisible. So why wouldn't you just play a team of rogues and
sneak through
Druids
the entire dungeon and just kill the boss?
And just kill the bosses, yeah. So what they've done is they've made it so that you have to clear a percentage of the trash in the dungeon, so all of these little guys, before it will count as being done. So
interesting. I like that. Okay, so you have to
so it forces you to do
30% of the dungeon
routing, right? You can go, well, we need this amount of percentage. Well, if we go this way and kill these specific enemies, that means we can skip these guys later. And that becomes a really fun tank challenge, right? Because your job isn't just I need to keep all the enemies' attention and put them in the right place. It's also, I need to know where I'm going. I need to know the effective ways to go and lead the party effectively. So there's a lot of nuance. There's so much nuance to this game. I'm going to touch a death him, so he does quick, and then we can move in and get this guy again. I'm hoping I might queue for a specific dungeon after this one. The Kobold one.
You don't have to random it, you can kind of choose.
Yeah, you can queue for specific ones, but if you queue for random, you get bigger rewards, and that's kind of what I want for my friends. I want them to catch up and get good rewards, so we've just been doing random dungeons. It's just a shame that we've got the same ones twice, which is a shame, but I want to show you the Kobold one after this, so we'll make that happen.
Hell yeah.
This guy's dead, and I'm off. I'm still getting Valor Stones for doing all of this, so I'm still making progress for my own character. Valor Stones is like a currency you use to spend on upgrading your gear. Steve, you are a prick. Just pulled that entire pack behind me, and these guys suck.
Quentin Eugen said, not sure if WoW brought the people. Diablo 2 was much earlier, and that was like a cancer. It was everywhere, even in local LAN gameplay. Nobody wanted to play shooters anymore. But for as big as Diablo 2 was, so Diablo 2 sold 4 million copies. WoW at its peak had like 12 million subscribers. Like it's easy to poo-poo it, but like WoW is like the success of WoW is
changed the games industry.
And especially at the time.
Completely changed the games industry, which is crazy. And like, I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, WoW's still going." It's very easy to underestimate how big WoW still is.
Sure, yeah.
It's not as big as it was in its peak, but it's still played by millions of people every day.
Yeah, it's according to this rough and dirty chart, it seems like it's got about 7.5 million subscribers. And it feels like its lowest was like a little below 5.
Yeah, and
in some certain,
consider
some
that all of those people give Blizzard $10 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot of. Oh, there's a boss, Jay. There's a boss.
Oh no!
Fucking idiot. They make a lot of money off of this, and it's like, well, why are they prioritizing WoW? Well, because we keep giving them money. And I always used to have this argument, because I've been playing this game since I was a young teen, and I always had friends and they'd be like, oh, why would you fucking pay every month for a game? And I'm like, well, would you pay $15 to go see a movie? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, you paid $15 for 2.5 hours. I pay $10 and I get an entire month's worth of evenings of fun, and I keep the servers alive for the game. Right, like, and to me that's fair. Like, MMOs are not like other games. They require so much upkeep and so much like maintenance that it's a necessity. They wouldn't be charging like this if it wasn't, you know, necessary.
Yeah.
And I mean, I say that they do make a stupid amount of money. They don't need that much money, but that many people want to play and live in this world, and you know.
Yeah.
These guys.
William Gibbs, and you're getting that klaxon going. William Gibbs with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, William Gibbs. I missed Final Fantasy XIV, but fell out of love with WoW around Mists of Pandaria. Career in Med took off, and I just don't have the time. I mean, that's understandable. Not having the time, like, or having pals who play and not being able to like coordinate with them. Like, I get that. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I'm very fortunate to have a close group of friends that I've been playing with since basically Mists of Pandaria. And then my friends IRL. There's lots of friends that played games and that I've convinced to. Oh, okay, it's getting a bit hairy. Okay. I've convinced them, hey, you should give WoW a shot. I'm currently in the process of trying to convince Jess to give it a go.
Oh, right.
We'll see how successful I am with that. But everyone that I have tried to get into WoW has ended up loving it, but for their own reasons, right? Not for like, oh, I love I love dungeons too, and I just want to run dungeons with you. It's like, well, no, I have friends who just absolutely love the actually, I remember from last time, these guys get summoned if you don't kill them, so I'm gonna kill them.
Oh, look at that, you've learned.
Yes, and that's the beauty of it, because we're doing it in normal mode, so we're learning it in an environment that's not going to kill us if we fuck up.
Yeah.
And then when we go into Mythic, if this singular pack came up to us in the BOF in a Mythic dungeon, we would die. And you haven't seen us wipe, but when you wipe, you have to run back to the area. And when you're doing Mythics, which are a time trial, dying and having to run back to the boss is a big no-no.
Yeah. So, I feel like that just ruins the run, you know.
Kind of. It's not as intense like that. Obviously, if you get into like the later, when you're like doing really high keys, wiping once or having one person not pulling their weight, you might as well just leave, because you're not going to do it. Sure. But at the lower levels, it's like you can wipe, you know, a handful of times and it still time it.
Fungus Finder with a $2 dono. Hey, JM8, can this be played on a controller with 3 smiley faces afterwards?
I would say there's probably a mod that allows you to. I don't know of one. I wouldn't recommend it. But then again, FF14 can be played on a...
I was about to say, so like FF14, obviously on PlayStation and from Xbox and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like a version of a mod that basically emulates the Final Fantasy 14 way of playing it, which would be cool. I have a friend who, when I play FF14 with them, only plays on a controller, and he's hot shit. Because guess what? If you're using the controller, you're not clicking. You literally can't.
Yeah, Indie Mouse says Final Fantasy XIV is very controller friendly. Yeah, I know people who do play on PlayStation and just play on controller, and so I'm assuming there is a certain level of like expertise or maybe even speed that you just can't quite get to.
Yeah, right, and it forces you to do those things like tap targeting and using your abilities efficiently. So in a way, I kind of think
Evil Overlord says there's definitely controller add-on. A lot of people are using controllers on Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. Fungus Finder, I know you tried to burn the button, boys. I'm just relaying a fair. I just want to give buttons their fair shake. I do think like
what
what
random. Oh, fuck, it's the same thing again. Oh.
No, it's not. Get out of town. How do you know?
It's the fucking spider one.
Oh, it is.
Fuck's sake. Okay, well, I'll stream another time and then show people more of the dungeons. Yeah. Meow. Kind of wish somebody else was tanking so I could show you some DPS gameplay, but alas. Alas. Yeah, we'll smash this one out, and then that will kind of bring us to the end of the stream, I believe.
No, apparently it's the ROG ally, not the ROG ally. To which I say, you know what? Name your thing a better name than if you want people to say it correctly.
I think of that of most games.
Yeah.
Triangle
most
strategy.
Games are terrible, yeah. Project Triangle Strategy. Get the fuck out of town. Josh Knowles been a member for 9 months in the Green Gang. Thank you so much, Josh. Do either of you watch Has Been Hotel? Flawless songs. No. A lot of people. Yeah, I have not watched it.
I've watched an episode with a friend who was like, "You're gonna love this," and I hated it.
Well, there you go.
If you enjoy it, props to you. You know, each that I don't want to yuck on your yum, but the comedy in that is one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. It's just like edgy, and I'm just like, you can fuck off.
You're too smooth for the edge. That's your problem.
I'm too smooth. Maybe I'm so edgy that it's too blunt for me, Marty.
You've gotten sanded off corners.
But yeah, each their own. If you enjoy it, fucking go for it. Animation's really cool. I like how it's animated. I don't necessarily like the style of how the characters look. I especially don't like how they talk. Edge. It's like, yeah, we get it. We get it. You have a nose piercing. And I'm saying that as someone with a nose piercing.
I like your Tasmanian devil. I can't believe we're still fighting these fucking spiders.
I can't believe I said I'm gonna go into another dungeon so I can show you. Like you've seen like 3 of the 8.
Over and over?
Fuck my life.
Very funny.
Oh, has my game crashed? For fuck's
no,
sake.
You've been disconnected. They heard us making fun of the spiders.
I'm sorry, the spiders.
You spent so much time modeling these spideys.
They've added an arachnophobe version that turns them into lobsters. I don't know if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it.
That's really funny. I like that.
Let me find it. Okay. Oh shit! I DC'd, but they're still fighting.
No, everyone's here. They survived. Look at that.
Yeah, that's probably because Reese, our healer, is just an absolute beast. All right, let's quickly go into our options and see if we can find the
Okay, arachnophobia mode at the bottom. Yeah.
So they're lobsters now. The paladins just
that.
run off and pulled. Yeah, now they're just giant lobsters. Look at him on the wall.
Look at.
But what if I'm scared of spiders and lobsters? What am I gonna do?
Damn.
Oh god.
Are those mutually exclusive? You can't legally be afraid of spiders and lobsters. You can only be afraid of one.
Only be legally when you're born, your parents select one. They tick the box.
Well, yeah, that's choose your middle name, and they have to choose which little creepy crawly you're most scared of.
Look, it's a giant crab before it was a giant spider. I love it.
Enemy crab.
Okay, I'm happy we did this dungeon again now.
That's good. You can see the crab.
I want to see what the other bosses look like. What if you're afraid of like arachnid adjacent names? This place is called Arakara City of Echoes. It's like
the whole thing should change. Like
Crab Kingdom, City of Bubbles.
Yeah, Crab Kingdom. The Gorge of the Pincers.
Gorge of the Pincers. Oh my god! Check out the fucking crane. Check out the crane on this bitch. Long legs.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Fucking lobstrosities.
Why are these guys hanging out with these crabs?
They got crabs?
Yeah, straight up. Yeah. But yeah, I'm hoping that a lot of this people who previously played WoW, I'm hoping this can kind of show them that the game has changed quite a lot and is more like player friendly now, and make them maybe give the game another shot, because I honestly think it deserves it. And the same for new players. I think there's never a better time to get into WoW. There is 20 years of history, but unlike FF14, the game does not in any way, shape, or form force you to play for any of it. It's optional. So you can jump in and get into endgame content incredibly quickly and start playing. And when I, start my guild after this next episode of Design Delve that I'm doing on World of Warcraft, of why I'm still addicted to this game after 15 years. I'm going to start the guild, and hopefully you guys can jump in, do some endgame content, and we can do some mythic dungeons, and maybe if we get enough people, we can start a raid group. That'd be fun.
Cool as hell. Yeah, so that'll be your next Design Delve, which will be not this Friday, but the following Friday.
Following Friday, this is we're coming up to the last two bosses, so we can do what's coming up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing my next Design Delve is on why I'm still addicted to WoW. Basically, what we've done here, but in a much more concise and fun way. Hopefully with animations from me and Ludo. Should be a lot of fun. Basically, just wanted an excuse to gush about something that I have loved for over 15 years. Why the fuck are these here?
Yeah, that's how we talk to the things we love.
Who did
I've loved this since I was a child. Son of a bitch game. Why are you doing this to me?
It's someone. Someone did this. Who has done this? It was probably Steve. Steve, I'm coming for you. Drago's like, talk about dev heads. Yeah, we got an episode of dev heads coming this Friday. I believe I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, or say your name wrong, but we've got Pete Blummel, who worked on Call of Duty and Shrek.
The big two.
So we're going to be talking about what it's like to work in not only games media, and movies, but what it's like to just create media for a mass audience, and what that's like. It's
Which on like Shrek a game, or like Shrek?
No, Shrek the movie. This person worked on Call of Duty and Shrek.
Big two.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. And it should be really fun. And I'm going to touch the death of that. Now we've got one more boss left. So they were like, oh, if you're scared of spiders, they're turning to crabs, but that's a giant beetle. That doesn't count, apparently, and that is still just a giant beetle.
It's not spider. It's fine. It's fine. A couple of people asking about the guild thing. Starcross says, what region will the guild be on? And then Evil Overlord said, can you make it a community? Would love to join, but I think my raid leader wouldn't like it. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a community. The region it will be is to be determined. I'll probably create one in NA and EU because at the moment I'm in EU, but very shortly I'm moving to America. So I say very shortly, hopefully by the end of the year. And
in the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things, but then I'll be able to play on NA as well as EU. So I'll make one in both and probably switch between them. But for now, it will probably be EU, but there will be an NA1 as well. For fuck's sake, Rooted. But yeah, all the information for that will be in the video. And if people are interested, like if you're interested in potentially joining like a Design Delve / Second Wind WoW guild, where we can just get together and play stuff. If that's something you're interested in, throw a hand up in the chat so I know people are interested in and it's actually like worth it.
Okay.
Hell. And we'll see.
Yeah, and then in terms of other stuff, this is our last Second Wind stream for the day. Tomorrow I'll be back. Yatsu tries and Windbreaker in the evening. Nothing on Thursday because on Thursday the huge chunk of the team is leaving for PAX. They'll be in Seattle all weekend, filming a bunch of silly vids, playing some games. Sunday evening, Jesse, Galena, and Jack have a panel on D&D and DMing, so folks who are at PAX can check that out. Hang out with the crew then. And then, yeah, like Jim mentioned, on Friday we'll have dev heads. Yeah, all sorts of good stuff. We'll have new... earlier today, Javid put up an excellent new bite size on Crit Master. No. Is that what the game's called? Crit Master?
I think it's Crit Master.
Crit Custodian. Crit Custodian. Crit Master was that game with the talking man from earlier this year.
Yes.
Crypt Custodian, which is a really wonderful kind of top-down action RPG Metroidvania. It feels a lot like Death's Door. Came out today on all consoles, highly, and PC, highly recommended. It's a great video. Check out the video, but then also just play the game. Game's great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just finished the dungeon. We ran over slightly, but I hope you guys enjoyed me expressing why. I mean, this game has so much history, and I have so much love for it, and there's so many reasons for why I do that it's very difficult for me to put that into, you know, just a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hope this can be a convincer for a lot of people, and I think I might do something similar for FF14, be it like maybe a stream and also an episode, because I've had an episode planned on FF14 for literally years, but just haven't found the time to make it because it's going to be a big one. So maybe when we get closer to the time that I'm going to make that episode, we can do a stream of that.
Yeah, I like to do show and tell streams.
Yeah, they're great. I love just people just gushing about why they love a thing. I think
exactly.
It's super nice. But yeah, I think that'll do us, and we've done our little talk through. But thank you so much for joining. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we hop off?
No. Thanks everyone on Twitch, everyone on YouTube. Appreciate y'all, and yeah, we'll see you all back here tomorrow.